Everybody, welcome to Living Earth Farms. This is Gabby Juba. I'm here to give a quick update today about the $20 budget that I had for myself for grocery shopping. So it's been almost a month since I lost my full-time job. And for those of you that maybe know or don't know, lost my full-time job the end of March. The we're not gonna go too far into detail. Everything is okay. I do have a an amazing part-time job that's gonna pay my bills while I get some of these businesses off the ground and do a couple of other really big professional things that I've wanted to do. So one of my goals though is to keep my costs as low as possible on things that I can control. So things that are out of my control include like my mortgage amount. It is what it is. In all honesty, where I live right now, my mortgage is relatively cheap. So I'm here for it. We're going to stay in this house. I was trying to sell it. We're not anymore. Back to things that I can't cost that I can control. Obviously, going out to eat, going out to the movies, things like that are all costs that I already pretty much kept in control of. One of my biggest things I like to spend money on is food, though, whether that's food for the week or going out to restaurants, whatever it might be. So my goal is to keep my weekly grocery budget at about $20. I will also preface, I've got a very well-stocked pantry, and my well-stocked pantry, and same thing with my freezer, like I have a lot of things. I'm also growing different things inside. I'm growing tomatoes and basil and lettuce inside until my outside garden gets off the ground for me. So I do have a wide range of things happening. So for me, $20 budget is not unrealistic. Now, granted, there are a few weeks where I will have to buy things in bulk, and I consider that sort of separate. Maybe I shouldn't, and maybe I'll change that as we continue to go. So for probably about 2 or 3 weeks worth of that, we hit the $20 budget pretty much on point. Some of the weeks were like $21 or 22, which I'm fine with that. There was one week I had family visiting. I definitely blew my budget out of the water with that. I spent maybe closer to $80 to feed like 6 people for a couple of days. I was okay though for that. I can manage that and handle that. So my goal is the next couple of weeks, how do I get my grocery bill back into the $20 range or under the $20 range to try to make up for that overage in there. I don't think I'm going to quite make it up because $20 is a very lean grocery bill budget, especially for one person. $20 is still lean for one person. And where I live in Western North Carolina in Brevard, there's not a lot of grocery store options out here, and the food costs are higher out here than they are in other spots in the mountains. So before, when I lived in like New Bern, North Carolina, I would go grocery shopping at Walmart or some other big store like that, get discounted items, get the sale items, get the cans that were slightly bent so I can get them on sale. But now where I live, my biggest grocery store with the most options is Ingles. And not to hate on Ingles, but Ingles is not the most cheap place to go grocery shopping. And on top of that, it's just, so I guess put it in perspective. Not that I buy these on a regular basis, but if I wanted vegan chocolate chips for some reason, so I am plant-based and vegan for anyone that maybe this is their first time listening. So to get vegan chocolate chip, like allergy-friendly chocolate chips from Ingles, the price has just gone up. It's about $8 a bag. One bag of chocolate chips cost me $8 at Ingles. But I know I can get that same bag, that same brand at Walmart for maybe $5, pushing 6. So now that is an extreme example, the vegan chocolate chips. Not everything is that expensive, so it's not like a can of beans at Ingles is $2 where the can of beans at Walmart is $1. Not quite that drastic, but it still is more than shopping at other locations. So, all that to say, $20 for just one person living where I live is not a lot of money. I do have to be very conscious of what I'm buying cut back on snacks when and where I can, kind of make things for myself when and where I can, buy things in bulk as needed. I do think this is attainable, and I do want this to be a long-term goal for me. Maybe not for my whole entire life, but at least for the next season that I'm going through while I'm trying to launch a business, while working part-time and doing things like this podcast, YouTube channel, homesteading stuff. I love the freedom and flexibility that I have, and I would like to keep that freedom and flexibility. So I did want to give a quick budget update. I will say one of the things that I need to be better about doing, which I'm sure applies to other people too, is how often I'm stopping at the store. If I if it's a week where I just go one time, I can do very good keeping my one shopping trip at about 20 bucks. But if in the middle of the week I'm driving past the store, maybe I'm hungry, or oh, I ran out of just one thing, but I'm also hungry on top of that. Maybe I go grocery shopping on a Friday, spent $20, but then by Tuesday, I'm either out of something that I didn't think I was going to run out of, or I'm hungry, need a snack, driving right by the store, and I decide to stop. Next thing you know, I just spent another $10 there. That starts to add up the more trips you make to the store. So the better you can do at planning, that's my pro tip there, the better you can plan and only go to the store once, not only is it going to save you money because you're less likely to impulse buy. If you only walk into the grocery store one time a week, you only have one time a week to impulse buy snacks or whatever it is that you think you might want or need at that time. But if you are stopping by the store three or four or five or more times a week, you now have three, four, five different opportunities to impulse buy whatever it is you want. Whether that's a snack, whether that's a soda, maybe you want an ice cream, whatever it might be. And while that stuff might be small in the beginning, it eventually starts to add up. So, yes, maybe the ice cream you wanted was only $3 or $4 this one shopping trip, but then when you go back to the store in 2 days and you decide to buy some fancy chocolate, that's another $4 or $5. And then you decide in 2 or 3 days when you go back to the store that you need a soda and chips, and now you're looking at $5. So by the end of the week, you've impulse bought 15 to 20 bucks worth of just stuff that you didn't actually need. Maybe some of those things you could have made at home, some of those things you could do without. So that is my pro tip for keeping your costs low is go to the store the minimal amount of times possible, whatever that is for you. And it is possible to shop on a budget, whether you're shopping sale items. Another big tip that I have that works out well for me, I try to stay away from processed foods. That is why I can keep my budget under $20, about $20 a week, is because the processed foods I have cut out of my diet. So I am not walking into the grocery store to buy cereal and granola bars and protein bars, and I need to go buy a bunch of cheese and meat and eggs and dairy. None of that. I don't buy any of that. What I am typically buying when I go to the store is all in the produce section, almost all of it. So I'm buying a wide range of things like potatoes and broccoli and onions and carrots and garlic, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, bell peppers, whatever it might be, avocados. Trying to think just every vegetable, kale, collards, whatever it might be, depending on what I'm making for the week, salad greens, spinach. I will get tofu that's in the produce section, tempeh as well. I try to I try to make that the most processed thing that I buy. That is another tip to keep your grocery costs as low as possible. Does that mean I do not eat granola? No, I love granola. I just have things I bought in bulk that I make my own granola with. That applies to a lot of things. I am working on making my own tortilla chips as well. I've done that quite a few times in the past. Make my own corn tortilla chips instead of keep continuing to buy bags of corn tortilla chips. But it's how do you replace some of those things that you don't actually need in your diet? Maybe get rid of them altogether or make some things at home for yourself. At some point, I'd love to make all my own pasta, but we're not quite there yet. I also grow all of my own sprouts too to try to save costs on sprouts from the grocery store. Anything I can do at home, really, I prefer to do. Same thing with bread. I would prefer to bake myself a loaf of sourdough bread than to buy one from the store. Now, will I buy it from the store if I need it? Absolutely. But that is not my go-to. My go-to is how can I make it at home first? So, just a couple of things to think about, food for thought there on how you can shrink your grocery bill and how I'm doing with the weekly $20 budget update. So that is all I have for today, and I will catch everybody next time.